Good evening. Welcome to EOI. Welcome to the Escuela de Organización Industrial. Both of you who are attending this event in our campus of Seville, in the scientific and technological area of Cartuja, and you who are following us by streaming. Today, Jesús Bores will deliver us the lecture How to Reach a Professional Career in the European Union. Jesús, with broad experience in the management and assessment of European programs, will explain us how the European Union works and the different stages you should follow to achieve a successful professional career. Jesús Bores is an attorney and consultant with broad experience representing his clients in matters and transactions both domestically and internationally. He has been partnered in Bores & Cia Abogados, a law firm established in 1971, and he is a founding member and partner in the consulting firm BCP and Asociados Euroconsultores. In the course of his career, Jesús has worked on projects for clients in such countries as Belgium, Argentina, Ecuador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Philippines, Uruguay, and others. Mr. Bores worked for the European Commission at the beginning of the establishment of the area of freedom, security, and justice, and then as a member of the Task Force for Justice and Home Affairs. He has applied his expertise in this area globally through his practice and through his many teaching activities. Jesús earned his bachelor's degree in political science and international relations from Spain's National Open University, his law degree from the University of Seville, LLM in European and Comparative Law from Rijks University in Maastricht in the Netherlands, and PhD courses on international law at the University of Seville. Thank you for coming, Jesús, and it's your turn.
Thank you very much, Chairman and Director. It's really a pleasure to be here with you and with our colleagues through the internet. And I'm really happy to be here with you speaking English because some of you already know me and it's not usual to speak such a language among us, but it's extremely important if we really want to work abroad. And therefore, I'm going to try to be very brief. What I'm going to try to bring here is my experience around 20 years working close to the European Commission in different works and tasks. And for those of you coming from MICMA and for young people, try to open some possibilities of finding a job abroad. So I'm going to be very brief, as I said. The main topics will be why an international career, what are the reasons why I would invite you to try to look for your future profession abroad. I live in Brussels for 6 years, abroad for more than 10 years. I think now I work for over 40 countries and visited more than 80. But I feel very Andalusian, very Spanish, and my children are grown here in Seville. So it's perfectly compatible to travel and work abroad with our living standards. But some people think that when you go away, you cannot come back, and I think it's the opposite. You have to go away to come back and consider our values and develop our economy. So I'm going to work a little bit and talk a little bit about the officials, the functionaries, the civil servants in the European Commission. I will talk to you as well about projects and technical assistance because the European Union is the main donor in the world. Most of the cooperation programs and the main ones are carried out through the European Commission, and you need to know how you can provide your technical capacities in banking, environmental, financing, or any other issue, because what people need to receive now is not just cooperation, but the know-how on how doing things, legally, economically, financially, and in every field. So any of you with your background and your experience can be an useful expert for the European Commission in such programs. Then I will talk to you about other international organizations, because unfortunately, we Spanish people are not so keen to go abroad and work, and therefore we are underrepresented in some international organizations. So you need to know where to look for them, and if you have the possibility, plan a strategy to try to achieve those positions. And then much more, some other possibilities. So I'm going to move over there because I may need to open some links, and the computer is there. If it's okay with you. Thank you. So, first of all, I would like to mention what we are, the EOI thinking. We are always talk about social networks, about innovation, education, the new methods, and EOI has to really develop English language programs. It's already doing social networks, international programs, and I think we are in the right place to look for these kind of positions. The second, we as Andalusians have to consider that decision-making nowadays is taken in Brussels. Our regional parliament, our national parliament are not that important anymore. I remember when I used to play football for 3 years in the European Commission football team. And I play in the midfield with an Italian official, who was in charge of the negotiation of the fisheries agreements with Morocco. And he said, listen, everybody came to talk to me. French people, people from Galicia, Basque Country, Madrid, but no one from Andalusia came to talk to me. We are late for 5 years. All your fisheries ports are now sport ports. We are really willing to develop fisheries in Andalusia, but some people is willing you to be a touristic resource. But no one in Andalusia is caring to come here to talk to me and tell me what your Andalusian people want. So if we really want to protect our interests as Andalusian people, and I'm not talking about nationalism or anything like that, we need to be in Brussels. If you look at the private sector from Andalusia in Brussels, we are underrepresented. So we really need young people and professionals to be in the European institutions, because most of the people there come from Barcelona, Madrid, and the Basque Country. They are people who are in the diplomats world, people who are used to be abroad, and we need people to be there. So it's extremely important for our companies to have Andalusian people who know our territory in the 7th Framework Program for Research and Development. It's extremely important that when we are talking about financing, people consider our position as well. So it's not just a personal interest, but it's also a common need for all of us. And then, of course, languages. If we are not able to work in English, and even now Chinese, we will not have access to a lot of information in a very short period of time. English is what unlocks the world. It's what gives us access to other markets. And our level of languages is extremely low. I'm really disappointed to see how year after year we don't realize that we need to speak English, because if we don't, in a very short period of time, we're not going to be able to manage worldwide. And then we have to look at the economic situation of Spain. And we don't have the possibility to offer jobs or new companies or new positions to people who is very highly prepared as you are. And it's quite disappointed to see our percentage of official people, and I gave you some rates, but we all know how the situation is, and unfortunately, I don't think the problem is only in the public sector, which is, but also in the private sector. We need a lot of companies, but I don't know why, for what reason, the strategy is not developing, it's not working. So we need a lot of companies here. So I think there are enough reasons, and as I said, this is just one more possibility. Some of you are very happy to be here in Seville, but if you find a position abroad, it may be useful for you to have such an experience, maybe for 2-3 years and then come back. So, what are the EU officials? What do they do? How do they work? How much money they make? As I said, I'm going to be very brief, but it's at any certain point I'm not clear enough. Don't hesitate to stop me, raise your hand, and ask me for any clarification or any comments. Mainly I'm going to talk to you about EPSO. EPSO is the web page, the system which coordinates selection of candidates for the European institutions. See if this opens. Slow. So EPSO has changed the selection system last year, and if you look at the new tools that has been provided are very useful because everything is done online, English, French, and German, and part of the test are done here. You don't need to go to Brussels as it used to happen for taking exams. So something that is interesting, and I didn't know that it was going to happen, is that 2 days ago, the new selection proceedings for AD graduates, that means for you, was opened, and the selection is just starting right now. So I don't want to go into the web page to make this slow. I'm just going to give you some facts, and then you ask me any other question, and we can go into the details. If you have just graduated or are in your final year, it's what you are called AD5. It's a classification. If you have more than 6 years experience, you are AD7. If you look at the European Commission exams, there is not a manual to prepare it. There are some text and some information in the web page, but what you are asked is to be a person to manage and coordinate activities. In the European Commission, you can be dealing with economy, then go into fisheries, and the next day into environmental issues, because what they want is to have officers, managers. They don't want you to be a very good specialist on something. They want you to be a good manager. So the test, they try to get intelligent people who are fast, who are able to speak languages, and who have a general view and vocation of the European Union. So the registration proceeding is quite easy, it's online, and the first stage are here. As administrator are very easy steps to follow. Just a pre-selection, a test, and you will be going ahead through a period of different tests. This is to become an official. But if you don't want to become an official, but do you prefer to be considered for administrative positions or other positions as experts on a very particular field, you just have to fill in the form, and they will contact you whenever there is a position which fits your capacities. It's important that you should know that when you are selected, you have 1 year to find a position in any European institution. Here, 1 kilometer away from here, in the World Trade Center, we have the IPTS, Institute for Prospective Technologies, which is part of the European Commission as well. So you can become an official and work here if you are specialized on science, for instance. And there are other institutions which are not in Brussels or Luxembourg, but other countries. So this selection proceeding does not allow you to go just to Brussels, but also to the other institutions. how much money can you get paid? The basic salary, starting salary for graduate people is around 5,000 euros. This is just the basic salary. What are the incentives that you receive? If you are traveling abroad, and most of us are Spanish people, have to move to Belgium probably, you get 20% extra of your salary because expatriates. You get 5% of your salary for household, around 300 euros per child. And you have the right to send your children to a school, in the European school, which is one of the best schools in Europe, because your children will learn 4 or 5 languages, and the system is perfectly compatible with every national system in Europe. So if you go to Brussels for 4 years and then you come back to Spain, you don't have any problem to validate your results. So this, together with many other incentives, such as training, you can receive any training you may imagine, languages, methodology, anything to become a good manager. So at the end of the day, you find yourself in a very international environment with a salary for people who are 25, 26 years old of around 8,000 euros a month, and with a lot of potential and capacity to work. This is the European Commission, where I'm talking mainly. But if you go to the Council of European Union, to the European Parliament, to the Regional Committee, there are many other institutions there which provide the same conditions. Furthermore, once you work for a European Commission institution, most of my friends, when I worked there 15 years ago, are now persons who work in political cabinets or in institutions here at the regional level in very high political positions, despite the political color, because of their knowledge of the European Union, because the European Union is fundamental for every Consejería de la Junta de Andalucía, for instance. So you can come back and jump very high in your professional possibilities. And a lot of people prefer to stay in Brussels in the private sector. More than 3,000 lobbies are just placed in Brussels. The main organizations, public and private, are represented there. So if you like environmental issues for MIGMA, the main lobbies are in Brussels. So once you work for the European Commission, the access to lobbies is very, very easy. So, as I said, you can start working there as a trainee, a stage, and the application was in February to start in October, and you have to apply again in September to start in February. Yes? Of course. One of the things that the European Union has is that, first of all, is the principle of non-discrimination, and second, is very open for trainees and for some of the positions for people from other countries. To become an official is more difficult. It's only allowed in very particular cases. But to become an expert, trainees, and other positions, you are fully allowed. Okay? So I prefer to go through my explanation and then you ask me all the questions. I mean, like this one and any other, but I'm going to move forward. But keep asking if you have any questions. So now everything is computerized. It's computer-based test. So this is a new methodology which allows you to have access to information and to submit a profile and to access any call of proposal that you are willing to participate. This system is becoming very common in all international organizations. The same happens to United Nations, for instance, where you have your profile, you can adapt it and submit it to any candidacy, any position that is available. What is international technical assistance? Europaid, I will not open the web page, I will explain it to you, and if you have questions, I will go into that later. More than almost 7% of the European budget is applied for cooperation, which means that we have agreements with 121 countries in the world, and we have a strategy for certain areas which need help, like ACP countries, Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. These programs has a political part where we establish obligations for these countries, like respect to human rights, open markets, and so on. And at the same time, we compromise ourselves with providing technical cooperation on the areas that we commonly agreed with those countries. I myself work for 7 of the free trade agreements, commercial agreements of the European Union with other countries. We established the legal ground for them accessing with their products the European market, and we selling them our products. And we give them around 40 million euros for them to develop their legal structure and to facilitate commerce. So what do they need? They need experts on sanitary and phytosanitary products, on competition, on financing, on banking, on protection of intellectual and industrial property rights. They need to know how we work, and they need to be ready to access our market and compete with our products. If we go to Panama and we tell them, you have to reform your judiciary, your judicial system is not working, and we give them 50 million euros, we need judicial experts to help them develop an effective judicial system. If we're going to work with China and we need to protect our copyrights, our trademarks, we tell China, okay, we give you money, but you need to develop the protection of our system. So the European Union is carrying out projects on any topics, and any of you speaking English or Spanish, if it's a Spanish-speaking country, has access as an expert to go there. This is paid very well. The average, you are classified depending on your experience. If you are a junior expert, you may receive 200-300 euros a day. If you are a senior expert, you receive up to 900 euros a day, 700, 900 euros a day, plus travel expenses, plus what they call per diems, expenses for Mexico for 1 day is 240 euros, something like that. So it's a lot of money. It's a very practical and short-term work in most of the cases. You can go there for a week, which is very compatible with your work here, develop your task, write your report, and then come back. I will go into the details later. I'm just trying to make a general overview. For doing this, you can do it directly through the institutions or through consultancies which manage these kind of projects, and they have, let's say, framework projects where they assist the European institutions and they look for experts and prepare missions in a very short period of time. So if you are really willing to work in this area, we can develop some examples in a few minutes. I can look for some examples in some countries and explain you how they work. And why I say even much more. Let me go directly. Let me explain you, for instance, in the webpage of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Spain. If you go to Ministerio de Asuntos Exteriores y Cooperación, there you will see that every week they publish all positions available in international organizations where Spain is a member and we have the right to apply. see if this is mic. Hold on. Let me try to. No. Okay, here it comes. So, if you need to look for a job here, it's something that you have to plan 6 months ahead. You really need to resume in English, some letters of intent where you have several positions where you are very competitive. And here, if you go to international organizations, you will see that you have professional opportunities in international organizations, vacancies. And there you can look for any international organization by sector, type, country, and there are many more than you can imagine. You will be surprised on how many opportunities are there. And some of them are extremely useful in the particular sector where you are specialized, environment or any other topic. Another web page that I want to show you is eurobrussels.com. This is a Brussels-based database where you can look for positions considering your category, your experience, or the country where you want to work. If you go to, let's say, we have some people here with 1 to 3 or 1 to 3 year experiences. You have assistant accountant in the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. And here you receive full detail and full contact of the institution that may hire you. This is more for lobby, think tanks, academic institutions, law firms, all kind of sector. And there you get the profile, the requirements, but also usually English is needed, maybe French, and sometimes Spanish as well. And the position, salary, and every information. So, as I said, since this is prepared for you and the main idea is to develop those topics which are of your interest, instead of developing and going into every detail, I prefer to listen to your preferences, and I will be happy to develop any topic or any area or go into the particular needs that you may have. So thank you, Francisco, again, and I'm happy to try to listen to your queries and solve them. You can ask in Spanish as well if you like, if you prefer. Any comments? Let me explain you, since there are no questions, while you think about the questions, a little bit about EuroPaid. How do you find a position for yourself? For instance, you that are behind Antonio, what do you do? What do you do as a profession?
Okay. I'm a lawyer.
You're a lawyer.
And now I'm studying here at EOI, the MPIGMA, the Professional Environment Master.
Okay.
So
would you like to work in any particular country or topic?
I don't mind, because my mind is open and I want to develop all my knowledge in both areas, law and environment.
Okay.
And I'm a single woman. I don't have a child, and I really like travel, and I don't mind travel to any country.
Okay.
I really like work and this is my
Very
idea
good.
now.
Excellent. So what I would recommend you, first of all, you can check all the JPO programs, young professionals who do internships. This is coordinated by AECI, Agencia Española de Cooperación Internacional y Desarrollo. They manage all possibilities for people like you in all over the world, in all institutions. Next week, on Friday, in Madrid, there will be a meeting where United Nations officials need lawyers to work in the United Nations and will be coming to look and present their positions for us lawyers who are willing to go to the United Nations. This will take in Madrid next Friday. If you are interested, you tell me and I will send you the invitation, okay? And then you go here and let's say, I'm trying to look for call for proposals. So let's say, for instance, we look for a country. This is a little bit slow, but it doesn't go through. Okay. I'm sorry, but I cannot open this page now. Here we go. So this is advanced search. You can look for grants, services, works, suministros, any other area. And you look for a region. Tell me a country that you like.
Holland.
But out of Europe, because this is more for development and cooperation, so it's mainly out of Europe.
Well, Asia.
Okay, let's look for Asia. So here I have Asia, and I will ask for opened and closed projects. If I search, now I will find a list of projects that are being carried out in Asia. For instance, this is for carbon, energy, forest law, environmental law, and so on. Integration of policy and practice. So there are many projects. So, for instance, imagine that you like the topic of promoting sustainable consumption and production, which is a little bit linked to human rights and everything. So I go there and have all information on the project. But this is being closed, so it's not a good example. Let me get another one, excuse me. Let me get one which is closed. Food security program. Sorry, this is closed. Let me, because I want to show you a tender list.
In blue, open in blue.
No, but I don't want to have it open. I want to show you a closed one. Let me see if I find a good one. Okay, this is policy dialogue support component. So you find the forecast, which tells you what kind of project was going to be, the tender notice, which is el contrato, los requisitos para la contratación pública, the public procurement notice, and then you have a pre-selected list of candidates. And the list of candidates tells you which companies are working in this country and your particular field. So nowadays, with internet, it's very easy to know who is who in every topic and in every country. This will tell you that there are 8 companies who are very competitive in this sector and in these countries. So you already have 8 candidates to work with. Sorry.
Aceptar.
Okay, excuse me. So if you go here, you have a list of companies, and you see Agriconsulting, Proman, Equinoccio is Spanish. Usually they are consortium of companies, and any of these companies is specialized either in the subject matter of the tender or in the country. So if you now go to the webpage of Transtech, they will tell you how many positions available they have. let me go into, for instance, Transtech webpage. Just to give you an example. So Transtech tells you field of activity, and then it tells you vacancies. If you go into vacancies, it tells you by geographical area, by field of activity, what positions are there available at the moment. Of course, you can register, and they will call you. Once you are in this market, they keep sending you proposals all the time, because they have permanent activity. And for short-term missions, I mean, I came from China on Saturday. Next Friday, I go to Mexico for 4 or 5 days. If you are a freelance, a lawyer, if you work for an institution as EOI, to go away for a week, if it's useful for your company and for yourself, will never be a problem. Imagine, I go to Mexico again. The first time I went there, it was with the free trade agreement. I had to work on the field of industrial property, denominations of origin. Mexico only has 12 denominations of origin. After working there, the Mexican Institute for Industrial Property hired me to work there again for a month. I have to train most of the officials there for the European Union issues to get to know how it works. Then I went to work to the 5 regional offices, Chiapas, Sonora, Veracruz, all over the country. Then I started working with the consejos reguladores, the regulator councils of the denomination of origin. And now, in my law firm here in Seville, I have 5 clients who are Mexican companies trying to export to Europe. So it's very useful for me, this, because it gives me access to a legal market which provides me with good clients. So after that, I keep working with the government, but at the same time I keep working in the private sector. So if EOI is willing to develop MBA programs in Mexico, and Francisco goes there as an expert on management of MBA, help them to incorporate their system, the links are very tight and you will continue working with them.
Okay, so thanks a lot.
No, you're welcome. Any other questions or any comments?
Well, I have another question, please. Is there any problem with my age? I'm 36 years old, because I don't know if my age is a problem to find...
Okay, for certain calls, there is an age limit, okay, with certain exceptions, but usually you are not a young professional anymore. You have to compete in other sector, which is professionals with 10 years experience. Okay. So I don't think you will be considered in these calls as a young professional anymore. You look very young, but I'm sorry to say that 36 is not enough to access certain positions.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
If you are a very much specialized person on a very particular topic, for instance, sometimes I work to evaluate programs. I don't know if you heard about Al-Invest. Al-Invest program is a program for fostering investment from Europe in Latin America and from Latin America in Europe. So I evaluate projects. Sometimes they need evaluators all over Europe because they are selecting projects all the time. So they make calls to select evaluators, sometimes directly, sometimes through consultancies. To evaluate projects, you do it at home. They send you the projects with keywords, and you evaluate them and you send them back. And evaluating in the field of law, for instance, for gratuitous, now Schumann projects in your area of specialization is also a good possibility that you can do here, and you don't have to go anywhere to evaluate. No? In the 7th framework program for research and development, for instance, let me just give you a hint. It's a program with 51,000 million euros. There are institutions here in Spain financing and paying for the drafting of a proposal because we don't submit enough proposals. We paid 10% of the European budget, and only 4% of these programs is back into Spain because we don't submit enough proposals. And 80% of those proposals are developed in Madrid and Barcelona. So it's incredible that our universities, our research centers, the amount of proposal they make is minimum. And even although some institution in Madrid and here pays for the drafting of a proposal, we don't submit enough proposal. And they get up to 20,000 euros just for the drafting of a proposal and looking for partners. We are very comfortable with the regional fund, the social fund, and a lot of institutions here. They live quite happy with the money that is given just because we are very poor, but that is not enough. And I think a good topic for young people is to help our institutions participate in those programs. Why? Why don't we don't participate? Because of the language. People is afraid to speak English, and in the 7th framework program you have to speak English. People is comfortable, so if you develop a program, it's a lot of trouble, and maybe you will not get paid any more money. So it's really sad that when I evaluated, I'll invest I evaluated more than 3,000 projects, only 3 were from Andalusia, for Latin America. So it's quite sad.
Yes.
Okay? And if you look at certain institutions here, they're relaxed because they receive social funds for studying, and that's it.
Okay. Jesús, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Any other questions, any other comments? Please. If you don't mind, introduce yourself so we all know who you are.
My name is Guadalupe Agudo. I work for the European Commission here in Sevilla for the last 5 years. I work in procurement. For those who doesn't know, it's just call for tenders and call for interest, and anything we need, we buy it. Depends of the ceiling, we have to launch a call on another. My question is, I try to work for the private sector. With all the knowledge I've got here in those 5 years, and I don't find the way to find a company that is interested in that kind of knowledge. You're talking about a lot of companies that want to work for the,
yes,
of the money that the European Commission want to bring here to our country. I don't know if it's a matter of Seville. I don't think so, because I have suppliers in our list, in the call for interest that we have list for this twisted procedure. Some of them are from here, and I don't see them any kind of interest to work with this kind of experience or the knowledge that I've got at the moment.
Okay.
So,
my comment would be, how much money were you paid in the European Commission here? Or how much money would you be offering a private sector company here?
thank you. Of course, I know what you mean. And the Commission, well, your salary is double that here in Seville, but it's not a matter of salary. It's just a matter of develop a new career, not only for the European Commission, but at the moment I've got an interview in Lisbon in 2 weeks, and another in Torino, in the north of Italy. I can work abroad, but I would like to do something in the private sector, just to change. I have been working 5 years for a public institution, that was the European Commission, and now I would like to work for some years in the private sector, and then again to go back, because it's really easy to go back if you have the knowledge to work again for the European, for an institute.
I understand.
Thank you.
I completely understand your frustration, but that is the problem that we have here, that our private sector is underdeveloped, and particularly in those topics. And first of all, they don't know how it works. Most of the private sector here, it's not familiar with the way the European Commission functions. Second, they are not willing to risk and pay the cost of professional people to develop it. They are not. And the private sector here are used in a lot of cases to very easily obtained grants for the Junta de Andalucía. So why the hell should they compete when they are being given money without any kind of requirements or results from the Junta de Andalucía? So now that the Junta de Andalucía is starting to have financial problems, and sindicatos, trade unions, confederaciones de empresarios, these people are starting to worry about the economic situation. They have to compete, but they are not ready to compete. So I understand your frustration. I offer myself to give you some companies where you may at least be heard and they will look to your proposal. But one of the problems that we have here is that everybody talks about entrepreneurship, but there is more people here trying to teach how to incorporate a company than really incorporating a company. If you want to find someone teaching to incorporate a company, you go all over the places, and people who never started a business is trying to tell you how to start a business all over Andalusia. It's very sad. But if you go to the concept of SME, el concepto de pyme, this is a concept that works in Germany, GmbH, Sociedades Limitadas Alemanas, which 400, 500 people working, industry, but here we call SME anything. And most of the business we call SMEs are just family business, autonomous worker. They get a lot of grants just to survive. They don't develop a lot of work. It's really sad. And the dependency on public grants is extremely high. But it's private grants which are not given to compete or to obtain a result. So that's one of our handicaps. And I completely understand your frustration. But we will help you if we can. More questions, comments?
Well, I'm Marvin Fernandez from Dominican Republic.
Excellent.
And I would like to know, what do I have to do to apply for I am interested in the energy field.
Okay.
So if there is any opportunity like for a foreigner?
Okay. The Caribbean, I was last year twice in the Dominican Republic working for the negotiation of the free trade agreement with the Caribbean countries and the European Union. The Caribbean countries are led by the Dominican Republic because since Cuba is a little bit isolated due to political reasons, the Dominican Republic is the leader, although you were the last to arrive in the Caribbean at the moment. When you negotiated the agreement with the European Union, you asked for free trade, but you also asked for a lot of cooperation. The person in your country dealing with the negotiation with the European Union is Celine Mendez. Is one of the ambassadors, you know, she's a very beautiful Miss Dominican Republic woman. And I will give you some of the contacts of the person who are in charge of the association agreement. Since you are here now in Europe, and you know how this works, and you get in contact with the people of the Dominican Republic, which they are just starting there, all their relations with Europe in the field of bioenergy. You know, the Central America and the Caribbean is very, very strong. You have a lot of possibilities because since we negotiate with you the association agreement, now you have access to European programs. You know how this works, so you can be a perfect link with that area and the European Union. So that's what I would look for. And, you know, they are doing very well in the last year.
So to apply...
First of all, you have to look for what you want to apply. To apply is not just to, what I say, first of all, you have to study very well your target. I will send you some information about the delegation of the European Union in the Dominican Republic, about programs that are being carried out by the Dominican Republic. There is another web page which is very good, which is Cordis. If you go to Cordis, all research projects on any topics are here. And many of them are like Erasmus program, Erasmus World, are worldwide. So if you look for, first of all, things that are of your interest, Dominican Republic and Europe. And then you have to target a few areas. Who is who in the negotiations? what kind of projects are being carried out, what kind of positions are available, and then you get the information how to apply. But it's not just apply. I think you need to find out what you want to arrive in order to apply. Okay. There is a poet from Córdoba, Seneca, that used to say, there is not a favorable wind for those who don't know where they're heading. No hay viento favorable para quien no sabe a dónde va. Claro. And here the problem that we have sometimes is that we just send resume. No. You have to be very specific and look for the information, and you'll get it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions? Any more comments? Okay, in any case, I will write down my email. So if anyone needs some, can you read? J. Bores, boleoglobal.com. If someone needs some information, some links to look for a job in the European Union, some detailed data on any particular topic, if you need, for instance, the methodology to work for this project, that is called the logical framework, el marco lógico de cooperación. It's a method that you apply to plan projects and develop them. If you have any queries where I can be useful, I mean, we have a compromise with EOI that we really have to facilitate and foster your international activities. We are happy to have people from abroad, but we want also these people to work abroad. So, I mean, we are fully available to help in any, I mean, have a coffee, to try to provide you with information. If somehow we can help you, we will be very happy to do so, and it's for our own interest as well.
So, thank you, Jesus, for your lecture, more than a lecture, really a workshop, really useful, really practical, giving the right answer for precise questions. I should say that as everything that we try to do here at EOI, as I'm saying, really practical. I hope you have the same idea. We encourage you to attend our next event this Thursday at 6:30, presenting the Green Jobs Report, this time in Spanish. Thank you for coming. Thank you, the ones who are attending us by streaming. And thank you, Jesus, again. Good evening.
Thank you. Bye.